right, hi, welcome to the studio again. Today we're going to be working in watercolor, and I'm just going to do a little quick demo. I did this a while ago, and my style is typically to wet the paper and throw the paint in, and this is the first wash that I did for these little pears. Pears are really fun to do because you can use different colors, different color combinations. In this one I used a lemon yellow, a sap green, then I threw in some orange and red with the green, and then I threw in some purple and let that mix on the paper, and then some ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, and here I think I would just use some lemon yellow, alizarin crimson. I put some purples in and then use that same mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt sienna to do the darks. And now I think I want to, and excuse my mic cord here, want to just emphasize a few things, add some more color. And yes, you can draw with a pencil on watercolor once you put it down, but I don't want to do a whole lot of drawing here. I just kind of emphasize these things. I want the watercolors to rest on a table, so otherwise they look like they're suspended. Some people like that. I don't want that for this particular piece. The ruler I have will never do for measuring inches because it's worn out, but I like it because it's clear. I can see through it. This particular piece of paper, by the way, is 9.5 inches long and 7 inches high, or 9.5 inches wide and 7 inches high, depending on how you look at things. And I am going to do my level best. I'm not good at drawing straight lines. And just draw a line there as if it was sitting on a table. And I have leftover paint from when I was working before. And I want to work a little bit with this purple mixture, which is a magenta. It's kind of wet right now. And I'm gonna also mix in a little burnt sienna here and there. It's burnt sienna, magenta, ultramarine blue, and I'm going to follow the line of these pears as if they were throwing shadows. Again, I don't have a reference, so I'm kind of winging it right now. My paper is dry. I just want to give an impression of shadow under that particular pear. Did not wet the paper. I'm not a big one for wetting paper in advance. I find it buckles, and so I've learned to work fairly dry. And I'm continuing to mix this ultramarine blue and the magenta. I like deep, deep purples. And then I add a little burnt sienna to that ultramarine blue. It's kind of a muddy mix. I like muddy mixes. I think I need more burnt sienna there. I'm sorry, more magenta. And I'm going to put some shadow under this pear also. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a practice exercise. Always remember to put shadows under your objects, because otherwise they look like they're floating in midair, which can be an interesting effect, but not for this particular piece. All right, so I did that, and I want this to be the lightest part, because my light is coming from this side. So I'm just gonna wet the paper, pull down some of this color, nothing fancy. And I don't even necessarily want to cover the whole area. I want to give it a fresh, immediate look. So I've done that. Am I happy with it? I can never, even if I have a straight line, I can never follow a straight line. But that's my problem, not yours. Do I want to put something up here? Yeah, I think I'd like to add a little bit of color. What I'm going to do is kind of wet the paper and put streaks of purple, maybe a little bit of blue. That's awfully dark, but I think we can just fix that with a brush. And I'm just using one brush for this. This is kind of a little practice exercise. Yeah, you could consider it a warm-up, I mean, why not? If you have something that you've already started and you want to kind of work on it a little bit more, you can use these things as warm-ups. I'm not saying I'll be happy with it, but it gives me a little practice in the morning. And I'm just taking, I put a little put a little ultramarine blue in there. Yes, you can paint over watercolor, absolutely, as long as it's dry and it doesn't mix in to the colors that you've already laid down. And I'm trying to follow these pencil lines. And I don't want to make this too dark, and I don't worry about the pencil lines. Something else that you can do, I don't do it often, is I've taken my brush here and I've loaded in with some, mix a color here, and I'm just going to tap on this delicately. Don't know if I like that. It's getting into my pears, but I can give it a shot. Maybe tap on, I don't know, a little bit more orange here. Like that. Again, not saying I like it, but part of painting is experimenting. Maybe take some clear water and tap some more clear water in there. I don't mind blossoms. I don't mind blooms, which are when the watercolor expands like it is over here when it's slightly wet and you put drops of water in it. I'm going to do that and let that dry. I'm liking this here. I'm thinking I want to emphasize it a little bit more. Let's see. So I'm taking a mix here. It looks like it's a lemon yellow and a sap green. And I'm just kind of bringing that out a little bit more. Maybe more over here. Just bring it here. That's a nice yellow pear. Now this guy is not a yellow pear. He's got more orange in him. So I'm going to take cadmium yellow and emphasize his lighter side here. Like that. And notice I did not wet the paper. I rarely work wet, very wet paper. I tend to like to go kind of dry. I think it needs a little bit. Let's throw some alizarin crimson in here, mixed in with cadmium, or maybe not. Ooh, it's a nice red color. Let's bring that down here. And this is where it starts mixing on the paper. But I think I want to make it kind of an earthier peach. So I'm going to take some burnt sienna and bring that down there. I'm trying not to get in the areas here that are wet for this particular look. I might on another piece and let those colors mix together, but for this piece, I'm just kind of manipulating it that way. I'm going to also put a little bit more cadmium yellow there. That kind of brings it out more. Now this side here is looking, just a little bit pale down on the bottom, and it looks like I might have used a red, and I did this a number of months ago, so I don't remember. I don't know, that's a little intense, but it kind of carries over the palette from this guy. I might have some hairs in here from the brush. We'll get rid of those. And then I'm going to bring some burnt sienna down here. And how about just a touch of that alizarin crimson. And can I put in a little bit more of the lemon yellow in here and kind of let them blend together. Kind of emphasizes it. I have irregular lines here, which I can now, when it dries, finesse with a pencil. And I think these little stems, sometimes it's just the little details that you put on here that really make a painting. Just emphasize them a little bit more with some burnt sienna. So we've got that. So this is where I stand there and go, do I continue? Or do I just let this be its own being? I keep getting brush hair in there. I don't know. What do you think? Would you continue with it? I need to let it dry before I add more color. My instincts are just let it set for a while. But what I am missing on this is dark shadows here and here. Okay, I'm going to take a chance and you guys will see what happens, good or bad, when I add shadow on the bottom of this pear where I've already put color down. And you may notice that the color is semi-lifting. And how do you retrieve that color? You kind of don't. I'm taking a damp brush and just moving it around and dropping color in for shadow so I don't lose the color. So if you add color while the paper is moist, try not to manipulate it too much. And you can see what's happening here. I have to add some lighter colors here. Not exactly what I wanted to get as an effect, but again, we're just playing. And that gives it a little bit of dimension. Let's go ahead and do some burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue. I can't talk. It's really early in the morning. But it's my quiet time outside. The neighbors aren't mowing their lawns, so I can get some work done as far as taping. So I just added a mixture of ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and magenta. And again, I don't want to make it too dark because the values will just pop too much. But I want to show some shadow underneath. Now I feel like this guy needs a little bit more. I'm just dropping that mixture of ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and magenta in there. I tend to use that a lot. And let's put a little shadow up here and here. And that's not bad. It has a little dimension, has a little shadow on the table. The table may not necessarily be straight. That's my trademark. My tables are never straight. I don't like this here. I'm just kind of trying to lift it a little bit because it is the purple came off the table. I take a tissue and do that. And what I'm going to do now is take a pencil, and I just use one of these cheap little mechanical pencils you can get at a big box store. I get them at the grocery store when I'm out there. Kind of join these lines a little bit. Again, not perfect. And we kind of finesse that over there and do that. And there's a dot here that's bothering me, so I'm going to soften that. And there you have it. There's my mic cord. I'm trying to get that out of your way. And it's dry enough here that I can go ahead, feels dry, and sign it. Always remember to sign your work. Even though you may not think it's the best in the world, it's your work and you should be proud of it, no matter what stage of painting you're at. So that's today's demonstration on how to enhance a painting. These are great when you're doing small botanicals, small still lifes, to practice. Then when you start doing larger paintings rather than just a 9x7, you will have the technique of how to do washes, how to do some shadows, how to add a little texture in your background. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you are learning from my techniques, and if you want to learn more, you can join me on Patreon. But until then, thank you again for watching, and remember, above all, keep practicing.